A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a historic enforcement action, the United States Department of Homeland Security, DHS, executed what it described as the most extensive single-site immigration enforcement operation in its history at a Hyundai-LG Energy Solution joint venture battery plant in Ellable, Georgia, on September 4, 2025. Nearly 475 individuals were detained, primarily South Korean nationals, after a multi-month investigation into alleged unlawful employment practices at the facility. The operation, led by ICE Homeland Security Investigations, HSI, was not merely an immigration sweep, but the culmination of a detailed inquiry authorized through a judicial search warrant. This involved extensive intelligence gathering and coordination with various law enforcement agencies. Upon entering the plant, agents detained hundreds of workers suspected of violating U.S. immigration and labor laws, including those who overstayed their visas or entered the country on non-work visas. As of now, the detained individuals are being processed at an ICE detention facility in Folkestone, Georgia, with no formal charges filed yet, but the criminal investigation remains ongoing. The Ellable site is part of Hyundai Motor Group Metaplan America, HMGMA, a massive $7.6 billion electric vehicle complex that began operations in October 2024. Initially announced in 2022, the facility aims to support Hyundai's ambitious electric vehicle production goals in the U.S. Following the raid, construction work at the battery plant has been temporarily halted, although operations at the nearby EV assembly lines continue unaffected. Hyundai has stated that none of the detained workers were directly employed by the company, emphasizing compliance with all relevant laws. The company is now reviewing the employment practices of its contractors responsible for staffing the battery facility. LG Energy Solution, Hyundai's partner in the joint venture, has confirmed its cooperation with U.S. investigators, although it did not specify how many of the detained workers were connected to LG contracts. The raid has raised diplomatic concerns between Washington and Seoul, with South Korea's foreign ministry expressing strong concern over the potential impact on the rights and safety of its citizens during U.S. enforcement actions. South Korean diplomats have been dispatched to Atlanta and Washington to monitor the situation and provide support for the detained nationals. This incident comes at a critical juncture in U.S.-South Korea relations, especially after South Korea pledged nearly $350 billion in investments in U.S. projects, including significant funding commitments from Hyundai. The Biden administration has previously emphasized strong alliances with South Korea, particularly in sectors like clean energy and electric vehicles. However, under the current Trump administration, there is a renewed focus on domestic industrial revival coupled with stringent immigration law enforcement. Analysts have pointed out that the raid highlights the conflicting objectives of the Trump administration, attracting foreign investment while pursuing aggressive enforcement against unlawful employment practices. Critics warn that such high-profile raids could undermine confidence among international investors, especially in industries reliant on complex contractor networks and global labor mobility. The legal process surrounding this enforcement is still in its early stages, with DHS confirming that the investigation into employment practices and potential federal crimes is ongoing. Workers detained will be held pending further review of their immigration or labor status, and while no corporate charges have been filed yet, the companies involved are under scrutiny. The raid at the Hyundai-LG battery facility marks a significant moment in U.S. law enforcement, both in terms of its scale and its potential international ramifications. The immediate focus remains on alleged labor violations and unlawful employment, but the broader impacts could affect Hyundai's operations in the U.S., South Korea-U.S. trade relations, and the future of foreign investment in American manufacturing. The investigation continues, and much remains uncertain, including whether any companies or contractors will face criminal charges. This operation has already become a flashpoint at the intersection of immigration enforcement, industrial policy, and international diplomacy. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.